Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another interview here at the con floor. Today I'm actually joined by Christopher Carter, the CEO and founder of GlobalComix. For those of you who don't know, GlobalComix is a digital platform for reading as well as subscription service to be able to get access to all of your favorite books. There's a plethora of publishers, and actually one of the more recent ones is DC.
That's right.
So would love to have a conversation about how that sort of started, what you guys see for the future with DC in particular.
Got it. Yeah, so the partnership with DC is something that we've been working on for quite a while, right? Like, as you can imagine, you know, looking at the history of the comics platform industry, there's a lot of folks that have come and gone, right? And so one of the things that we've focused on over the last couple of years is proving and showing staying power and focusing on just bringing everyone onto the platform from the bottom and all the way up to the top, and DC being a culmination in that, right? And the reason we wanted to do that is simply, how can we be a place where we have all of the books that everyone wants to read? And you know, so when DC specifically, it took us about 2 years.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
You know, big companies don't necessarily move very fast, but that's just the nature of the game.
For sure.
And you know, we needed to prove ourselves, and we did. And here we are. So we're very, very excited to be working with DC. Right now we have about 2,200 of their books on our platform. And we're going to be rotating in new content every quarter.
Yeah, and I saw that a lot of it is like kind of back cataloged through all of the eras, or as many eras as you could possibly pull, right? For me, I'm a huge fan of Saga the Swamp Thing. I saw that was on. That's really bolstering for me as a reader, just because I think those are kind of the things that maybe are popular on the platform. But you know, a lot of the times you get some of the Batman stuff, the Superman stuff, but it's good to see an appreciation for Vertigo, for some of the Black Label pieces, because I think that helps to fill out and round out the rest of the DC universe. And I'm curious, you mentioned staying power. You guys have been around for a long time. I remember first getting the app years ago, and there was a few more independent sort of angles. So as that has grown, as you've grown into this larger aggregation for publishers, how do you continue to maintain a focus on the creators that you have on the platform?
I think that's something that really hasn't ever changed in how we've operated. You know, we support manga creators, webtoons creators, indie creators. We support publishers from the Western side. We support publishers from Europe. We have a couple of publishers from Japan, and we have studios from Korea doing manhwa. Right? And really, it kind of boils down to this premise that is a core principle of how we developed our platform, which is connecting people with the right stories that are relevant and interesting to them at the right time. Right? And so, in order to do that, we have 3 channels of discovery that kind of exist. One is kind of choose your own adventure, and that's your search and browse and filter and all that jazz. Right? So for those who know what they're looking for, we supercharged that experience and gave so many filters for people to find and narrow down and really like, okay, this is my jam. The other 2 channels is curated by us, which is our team internally will be looking at and promoting, you know, somewhere between 100 and 200 different books every single week. And in that process, we're making sure that we're covering creators from webcomics, creators from the indie scene, publishers, new books, old books, things that are showing up in the popularity ranking, and just really kind of trying to make sure that we're hitting a wide spectrum that is relevant to what we see people reading in the first place, right?
So do you feel that your audience is more coming from the perspective of webtoon, more coming from that vertical scroll kind of landscape, or are they readers from more traditional comics that are also coming into this environment?
It's both.
Okay.
Right, and that's kind of where the third piece comes into play, the third discovery channel, which is personalized and recommended for you. And we've developed such a rich ontology of metadata around series, around books, around episodes, that we can very, very accurately understand what it is about a series, its book, its art styles, its writers, its like metadata, its style, theme, its universe and world, and even pacing. And make the same kinds of recommendations to folks down the road, right? So, for example, you really like noir, dark, gritty stories.
Yeah.
Here's noir, dark, gritty stories in webcomic format, in manga format, and Western publisher format, and so on and so forth. And then we can kind of like take those choices that people make and narrow it out even further and be like, okay, well, we think you are interested in this stuff, but also tell us what you're interested in, right? So that it's not just a black box algorithm, but it's also something that everyone has control over giving input to.
Yeah, and to that point, even when I re-downloaded the app on my iPad, and the initial flow, that introduction scene, right? It's 3 sequences where you go into these broader categories. Are you interested in superheroes, in manga? What is your particular format? Then it gets into, these genre aspects. So it continues to filter you down. And then up until that third point where you're looking not even at necessarily genre, but the kind of environment that you want to be surrounded in the reading experience. And then when my feature came up, immediately as a fan, again, I saw Swamp Thing. I'm like, oh, you got me, cool. And just through a combination of prompts, quick and easy, super well designed. So kudos to that, because I think that helps the discoverability of comics, but I think also helps to keep somebody engaged. The UX there is really, really simple.
Thank you. That actually shows up one more place. From time to time around the site, you'll see these comic boxes and it'll say a little percentage match.
Yes, yeah.
So that's based on your interest that you've indicated yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And so a series, I believe, can have 6 different themes.
Okay.
You can have one genre, one type, and one format.
Yeah.
And so to get 100% match, you need to be interested in the type, the genre, and all 6 themes.
Gotcha. Okay, awesome.
If there's like 4 themes and everything else, then it's like an 80% match.
Sure, yeah.
But if you think about it, like having 6 themes for a story be something that you're interested in, all show up, is an insanely high accuracy rate.
Yeah.
Like even just having 3 or 4 themes, if the genre and the type matches, is still a really good recommendation.
So do you guys consider yourselves more of a tech company or a content publisher?
That's always the fun question, right? We're a community company.
Oh,
we're
love that.
Powered by technology, but we're developing tools, processes, workflows, ecosystem for both creators, publishers, and consumers.
Okay.
We use technology to do that, and we solve a lot of the problems with technology. But at the end of the day, we're a community company that's building a community around fandom and connecting fans with stories and the creators that they actually really like.
Yeah, and I think it's important to be able to foster those kinds of communities, right? Because I think what ends up lacking, especially nowadays, post-pandemic, right? I feel like you go to the shop, you want to be able to have that sense of camaraderie with other people, just kind of have a conversation with your shopkeep, with another patron of the store. But as that kind of went away, right, I feel like the digital industry kind of helps to fill those gaps. And so to that extent, right, GlobalComix is there to be able to fill that gap. And as you acquire more of these companies to help publish those books, I think you just expand the scope of what those comics people can have and the conversations that you can have.
That's exactly right, and it's also one of the biggest differentiators if you were to juxtapose us with former Comixology. That was very much a transactional online comic book store and nothing else.
Yeah.
And sure, that works, but it's nowhere near as fun as like doing something together with people that are like-minded and discovering friends.
Yeah.
Sharing predictions for stories, having conversations about, oh my God, what's happening next? I can't wait for next week, right? Like, these things are the types of engagement that just really brings people in and adds that personal touch that isn't something that we can do because it's organic from everyone else.
For sure, 100%. And actually to that point, and not to make the comparison, how do you feel that GlobalComix differentiates itself from a Comixology, from a Webtoon, from a Tapas? Where do you guys fit in that ecosystem?
Well, I think it's more appropriate for us to say that rather than go specialized in any one direction, Webtoons is a vertical scroll platform.
Sure.
Comixology is a paper book, traditional format, publisher primarily platform.
Yeah.
Tapas is another variant of Webtoons. There are various different manga apps like Manga Plus, etc. They're all manga focused.
Yeah.
Which made it harder for us to start out and grow because we didn't really hyper specialize. But it's been a huge benefit for us as we have been growing and as we have been scaling, because it means that our audience is so diverse.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's not like, oh my God, my comic is not a romance, so it won't be popular on this platform. It's that actually every kind of comic is finding an audience. And folks are cross-pollinating from, I can read some vertical scrolls, I can read some traditional stuff.
Yeah.
And I think, if I were to round it all out, over the last 3 days, I've seen 4 or 5 screenshots from creators on Twitter that post a screenshot of just their book in the popularity ranking right next to an image book and a DC book. Right?
That's awesome.
Where else can you get that?
Yeah. And I guess to that point, right, where you see creators and they help to build that kind of excitement, where do you feel like GlobalComix fits in that comics community? So one of the things that we talk about a lot on the podcast is the direct market. Obviously, you guys aren't necessarily there and serving that, but where do you see GlobalComix fit? Either play with that, play against it. Are you guys companions? Where do you feel you guys sit in the industry?
I've always viewed digital as the top of the funnel for any content company. I tend to view printed things or physical things as a level up in fandom, right?
Okay. And bottom of the funnel in that case.
Not necessarily bottom, but maybe if we're talking about $250 collected edition books or something, but it's more like people today are discovering stories and characters and art on their phone. Mm-hmm. There's 6 billion phones in the world.
Yeah.
There's going to be 8 billion very soon. The number one thing that we can do for the comics industry is to allow people to discover their next favorite story without needing to do anything other than, pull a device out of their pocket.
Start read.
Right?
Yeah.
And so for us, when we think about how do we work with the creative industry and the business industry and kind of like the direct market, it's that we want to get more people interested in the stories that are being sold. Mm. And we want to maybe have people like in the marketing cycle of awareness.
Yeah.
We fit really well because no one can do better than us. I can send you a link and you can start reading a story with one click. You don't need to do anything else, right? Sure. Like you can read through the website and web browser. And so given that as a starting point, we work with publishers already and we allow them to link out to their e-commerce stores where they can buy the print version from directly inside of Reading Experience.
For sure.
In our app and on the website. And we're going to be expanding that to being able to, promote their merch and promote their other products in the stores. Longer term, I wouldn't be surprised to see kind of store locator type stuff.
Okay.
Right?
Okay,
because, again, for us, I believe that our function and our job is to get people interested in the stories and hooked on the stories. And being good partners and good business partners to the creatives and to the publishers just simply means elevating their existing business channels as they have and helping those grow rather than looking at digital as a separate side channel that exists in a vacuum.
Gotcha. There's a partnership there. So I just to sort of reiterate that for you, you guys are, as that awareness piece, right? You're the first touch. You're the first person who, because of the ease of access, can potentially go and say, oh, this is of interest, right? And then it is your, maybe not priority, but it is your consideration to also help your physical publishers by saying, cool, now that they're in this ecosystem, maybe we can funnel them into a DC. Maybe we can funnel them into not Marvel quite yet, but funnel them into these other publishers to say, if you're so interested and you want to go deeper, here are ways to do so, but you start at GlobalComix.
That's right. And I'm a European, I'm from Norway originally.
Okay.
I can't just go into a comic book store when I'm at home in Norway and pick up any book.
Yeah.
There's over 200 other countries out there.
For sure. Yeah.
Right? And the way that I think about this is there's a whole world of people that are interested in these stories, and it's our job to make it available and accessible to them.
For sure.
Thinking beyond the borders of, perhaps just North America.
Sure, 100%. Christopher, thank you so much. This was an amazing conversation. I really appreciate what you guys are doing for the community and what you guys are doing for comics. I think it's important, and I think it's an alternate way to be able to enjoy the same things that we all love at the end of the day, so comics.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate you for having me on. And if I can give one last little thing.
Yeah, please.
Folks, we have so many creators on our platform. There's over 6,000 of them publishing and trying to make a living for themselves, trying to find fandom, please go and check them out. There's so many amazing stories, from sci-fi to action to hero to superhero and martial arts and everything else.
Yeah.
They rock.
Go check out the platform again, GlobalComix. Thank you again, Christopher. And for anybody who's listening on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. This was a really interesting conversation for us to have. We always like to touch upon the industry and the business aspect of it, so this is a great opportunity. Stay tuned for the rest of the weekend. We're going to be here the entire time at New York Comic Con doing more interviews like this with creators, with business people as well, to be able to help fill out the whole industry and what is comics. So thank you again, and we'll tune in next time.